What's up, everybody? Today I'm sitting down with Mr. Alexander Schenk to get his thoughts on his upcoming fight on June 13th at LFA 210. How are you going, Alexander?
Hey man, I'm going pretty good. Training camp's really well. Very excited to just get out there and fight for LFA.
I guarantee it. It's an honor to have you on here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and come sit down and chat with me. I'm going to start with some questions to kind of get us going. What inspired you to start fighting? And can you give me like a quick overrun of kind of like your journey through fighting so far?
Yeah, man. What inspired me to start fighting? Pretty good question. What got me into training is like I was getting bullied as a kid. I'm pretty sure that happens 90% of the fighters, but that's what got me into like training. And then what got me into fighting is actually one of my coaches named Jacob Kilburn. I'd seen him like do karate. I seen him come up the way that I came up through like the karate, taekwondo, stuff like that. And then I seen him do like a cage fight one day, and I was like, "What the heck? This is kind of crazy." And then I seen him keep winning and keep winning, and then so I started training like kickboxing, MMA, things like that. And then he made it to the UFC before I was like able to fight. But once he made it to the UFC, I was like, oh dang, this is very like attainable. And so I started training, and I seen him like in his effort and his journey along the way, and that made me think, hey, I can do this. And so we started. My first fight was in 2018. It was 10 days after my 18th birthday. Had my first MMA fight, and we've been going on since, man.
Was gonna say you're super young and you have like a super stacked resume. You're super active. You fought boxing, dirty boxing, bare knuckle, and of course just regular cage MMA fighting. What's been your favorite to compete in of the different variations that you fought in?
That's a good question. So I have two answers. So my favorite to compete in is definitely MMA, but my favorite to like train in is definitely boxing by far. Boxing was very fun. Like I don't know, I like the environment of the gym. It's a little different. I like to spar pretty hard, and it's like pretty hard sparring in boxing training. So boxing was pretty fun, like to train in, but like the actual competition, I like MMA much more because I feel it's more, you know, true, more honest. Because if in boxing, if like I'm touching somebody up, there's nothing they can really do if they're not a better boxer. But in MMA, if I'm touching somebody up, maybe they start adding kicks, maybe they start grappling, right? And so I think that is like a very cool part of the MMA, and that's why like it's my favorite to compete in.
That kind of leads into my next question a little bit. What does you feel is the biggest difference in like mindset and prepping for like say you're going into a boxing fight versus an MMA fight, other than like the physical like limitations of the rule set and stuff?
Yeah, man. Biggest difference, really, in my opinion, is like I'm not sure, man. It's pretty much like the same thing, to be honest. Like when I'm in there, my goal is just to win and to hit this guy more than he hits me. I think the same way in boxing as I do in MMA. But I guess the biggest difference besides the physical aspects of it is like knowing like how to pace yourself because like it's a different time frame. Boxing is 3 minutes, MMA is 5 minutes. So depending on where you're fighting, it's 4 to 8 rounds, maybe 10 rounds is boxing, and then in MMA you're not going to fight any longer than 5 rounds, so 25 minutes. I think the biggest difference is like pacing yourself for the full, you know, the difference of a fight. So
So you're coming off of your fight with Tristan Galachan last month in the DBX. Is there anything you can take from that fight that you can use in your upcoming fight without giving too much away?
uh not really, to be honest, man. I feel like Tristan was just a boxer. He's like a pure boxer. That's all he did was box, and so like his movement is going to be far different than this guy. If this guy moves anything like Tristan, I'll knock him out with a flying knee or something. But he's not going to move like that, and if he does move like that, he's toast. But there's just too different. Like he didn't really do nothing I've never seen before, Tristan, and then he also was very limited to what he could do. So he couldn't wrestle me, he couldn't kick me, he couldn't do any of this stuff. So it made it a little bit different. But same game plan. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna push the pace. I'm gonna be more aggressive. I'm gonna land more shots. I'm gonna get hit less.
I noticed in that fight he was kind of showboating quite a bit there towards the end of the fight. Does that affect you any at all? Like, does it make you want to go more, or do you kind of have to keep a level head and keep your game plan going?
So definitely, I definitely wanted to like, definitely, I probably should have, to be honest too, but I definitely wanted to let it go a little bit more. But like I was worried. One, the guy didn't really hit that hard, so that's why I say I should have like initiate it more. But I feel like I was winning the fight, and I feel like there was no need to do anything extra. And he hit me like 3 times, and in my brain, every time he taunted and showboated, I was like, "I'm winning the fight." And I was like, "Why are you taunting? I just hit you, and you've missed." So I don't know.
Uh, you're you talked about this a little bit. We're 7 weeks out from the LFA fight now. How do you juggle your training between going through these different events? Because I think you fought twice in March, and then now you're going into this one in June here. So it's a lot of kind of switching back and forth in the training aspect of it. Do you have any way you keep that separate, or is it all kind of the same?
Yeah, so to be honest, one, I train every day. There's not a time I'm not training. I train full time. I'm a martial artist. It's like my lifestyle. It's not, my job. It's just a lifestyle. I train since I was 8 years old, every day. So it's weird if I don't train. Like my body feels weird. Like I'm in a routine to train. But like to be honest, there's no difference in my training only because in my MMA training I box also. So when I have a boxing match or something like that, I'm still training jujitsu. I'm still training kickboxing. Just it's emphasis on the boxing part. And then like this fight coming up, we just so I usually don't watch that much film. And when I do, it's usually fight day because I usually pick up their patterns fight day. And like my DBX fight, when I fought Tristan, he had like a common thing that he would do, a habit that he would do, and that's the reason I threw the spinning elbow in the fight, and it was very close to landing, but it's just because of a tendency that he had. And but I only watch fight day, and then my coaches they watch from whenever we find out who the guy is, and they watch whatever, and they prepare me accordingly. But my goal is to fight my fight. It doesn't really matter how good he is or what he's good at if he's fighting the way that I want him to fight.
When you said you don't watch much tape, do you watch much of your own tape, going back to kind of learn off of from your training?
Yeah, I definitely like. I do like to watch my tape, but I definitely don't do it enough. To the reason that I think like sometimes I feel like watching like film, it just causes you to like react a certain way. Like, all right, this guy's gonna do this, and that. But then you go out there and fight. What if he doesn't do any of this stuff? Then I feel like you just wasted all that time studying film. And that's the reason I don't study film. But my coaches, that's their job. Their job is to prepare me for the fight. My job is just to train as hard as I can possibly do, how hard as I can possibly train. And their job is to lead me to train in the way that I need to train for the opponent.
Gotcha. That's a really good way to put it. Um, how has your style evolved since you started fighting or started competing? I guess even from amateur to professional. I know you have a background in karate and a couple other different like facets of the sport, but how has your style changed any as you went through?
Yeah, I've definitely changed tremendously. It's been like a big change, and I maybe didn't need to change, but like I felt like I needed to change. So like I said, I started karate at 8 years old. So I've been training for karate majority than anything else. And so a lot of my kickboxing matches, like amateur kickboxing matches and MMA fights, were a lot of like karate style, where I'm like sideways and I'm hopping up and down. And then I had like a kickboxing match against this guy on like a day's notice, and he was like tearing up my legs. He was like clenching me heavy, and he was like holding me against the cage, and like my karate was like limiting me to like the things that I could do. And then so after that fight, I started like squaring up a little bit more, and then so I became a more traditional style. And then once I got comfortable with that, now I'm at the point today where I can fight any style. I probably switch stance 30 times every 2 minutes. So I switch a lot, and I try to put everything together now. Like you said, I've done so much. I've done boxing, wrestling, jujitsu, karate, everything. I've done everything. So I'm putting it all together now, and that's where I'm at now. And I feel like I'm coming into myself where I'm able to mix it up, where I'm able to box really well. But if I need to, I can switch it up to like kickbox or whatever. I'm very, very good. So whatever my opponents are good at, 90% of the time, we bring them where they're not good at. So if they're a really good striker, we're going to take them down, submit them, ground and pound them. They're a really good striker or a ground grappler, we're staying on the feet. We're piecing them up on the feet. So wherever they're good at, except for my boxing, my DBX match, the guy was a boxer. I really wanted to prove that I could outbox a boxer. But that's basically how we go about it.
Do you think that there's a benefit to being a specialist in one thing, like being really good at that, versus maybe being kind of a jack of all trades across? I know it's important to know each part of the part of the puzzle, but do you think there is any benefit to being like super hyper focused on one thing for certain fights? Or
Yeah, it's 100% is you can be very successful, as you can see in the highest levels of MMA. You can see Khabib, you can see Israel Adesanya, you can see Alex Pieta. There's so many people who are really good at one thing and they're very successful. But then there's also people who are very good at a lot of things and they're also very successful, like John Jones, Ilya Taporia, George St. Pierre. There's people that are good everywhere. But my opinion, I believe that you should be good everywhere because of like what I said earlier, is if somebody is out striking me and all I am is a striker, then what? I'm gonna shoot on them and fuck up or mess up. So I believe that you should be good everywhere, and that's the reason that I think I'm. So many people say this, but I'm part of the new breed of MMA. Is like I'm good everywhere. I can do everything. I can wrestle with the best. I can grapple with the best. I can strike with the best. I can box with the best. Uh, but with that said, I am definitely 100% a striker. If you watch any of my fights, anytime that my fights are bad is when somebody's out grappling me. Anytime that my fights are good, I'm usually out striking everybody. So I'm definitely a striker at heart, but I am still good everywhere. I'm competent in any aspect of fighting.
I believe it was in your interview with, I believe it's Mom's Basement MMA. They were asking you about kind of the new generation of fighters coming in, like you just mentioned. You had fought some older opponents before. Do you find it easier to fight these people who grew up in like the multifaceted approach, or the people who came up in a traditional sense? Do you think um, is it easier or more difficult? Do you think?
That's a very, very, very good question. I guess it would depend because like I've definitely fought people who are like older people who only was like focused on like one thing and one aspect, which sometimes it makes them really good at that aspect because like I fought people that in that style who gave me hard fights or maybe even beat me, and then I've also fought people like that who like I've walked through. So it really honestly depends on them, but also I guess it depends on me because I've never fought anybody in my opinion that were better than me, even if I lost. I know it sounds crazy because you lose, but I truly feel like skill for skill. There's not a fighter that I've ever fought or am fighting, like even this guy I'm finna fight, I don't feel like anybody has ever been skill for skill better than me. I feel like the only time I've ever lost is like I've defeated myself. So I do feel like maybe when somebody is more like the older people, I do feel like they are more have more grit. They're gonna definitely push the pace more, which I do prefer. I prefer for the person to push the pace on me because that one that unlocks like my healthy ego, where I'm not gonna let nobody just bully me. Because like I said, I've been bullied before, and I don't like bullies in general. So I'm not gonna let no guy in the cage just bully me and impose his will on me. So I do like that style, but it is a little bit harder when people have good footwork. And like Tristan was definitely like a difficult fight in the DBX fight. It was a difficult fight because he was like different movement. And I guess it's just because I'm not a boxer, but like his movement was so different, and he was always on the back foot, and so it was definitely hard to hit him with like big shots.
Speaking of difficult fights, what was your toughest fight, and what did you learn from that?
Toughest fight is very easy. Is my fight with a guy named Aman Kazmi. Aman Kazmi was definitely, in my opinion, had was the most skilled fighter that I fought to this day, and I think he's more skilled than uh, Roland that I'm finna fight. But what I learned from him, it's crazy. What I learned from him is that I am as good as I think I am, and that I need to that mixing it up is okay, but you have to have like intent when you mix up in MMA. You can't just like when I was fighting that guy, I was a better striker than him, and I won't say he was a better grappler than me, but he was definitely more competent. Like he understood MMA grappling much more, and he understood like mixing the two arts or the all the arts. He was very good at that part, and so I there was times where I would kick him or I'd punch him, and then I would just randomly shoot or I would randomly like I would do something that it was like pointless to do in the moment. So I just learned that you need to blend everything together a little bit more smoothly in MMA to be successful.
Um, Over the course of your career, you've had a lot of fights that have went the distance, and you've had some that you've kind of put out and got out of there early. Um, does getting a TKO mean more to you than getting a decision win? And um, when you do have the hard grinding fight that goes the distance, what is your mindset going through as you get into the later rounds?
Yeah, man. So to be honest, it depends. Sometimes I like to go out there and beat somebody for 3 rounds for 15 minutes straight just to prove that I'm better than them completely. But then also, that's not what the UFC wants. The UFC don't want people coming out there and just going to decisions. That's why my last two MMA fights have been finishes. I've just went out there with intent to finish. Uh, I usually like I used to fight safe. Like I used to fight in a position to where I don't get hit. My fight name is Pretty Boy, and I was given that name because I look the same before and after a fight. Like I'll go into a fight and I'll come out of the fight the same way. So I never change. And also my style's pretty to watch. Uh, so I used to fight safe to where like I didn't want to get hurt because like I didn't want to get knocked out and nothing like that. I didn't want to get tired. But then after 21 fights, I've realized that hey, you're not going to get tired. And if you get knocked out, it's not nothing you can control. So only thing you can control within an MMA fight is how hard you trained and how you react to what's going to what happens in the fight. It's the only thing you can really control. So now I'm in the mindset, and also that I'm in the mindset is the UFC wants finishes. So I'm out here now. I'll definitely finish this guy. Uh, it's a lot easier to finish people than people think. You just have to be willing to engage. And I felt like my last 3 fights, I've shown my willingness to engage a lot. And I got 2 finishes out of the last 3, and would have probably finished the last guy if I was a little bit more patient.
Well, congratulations on your featherweight title win against Nick is it De La Houssaye at the Summit FC 49. Does does winning a belt kind of modify your mindset at all? Does that change anything when you finally get the belt? Um,
To be 100% honest, belts mean nothing to me unless it's like a UFC belt, right? Uh, I feel that I will be UFC champion. So to me, I should beat that guy Nick. I should beat this guy Roland. I should beat everybody that I fight, uh, even when I'm in the UFC. Because like to me, I've been training majority of my life. I'm 24 now, and I've been training since I was 8. That's more than half of my life I've been training. Uh, so my whole life has been dedicated to being the most complete martial artist in the world, and I truly believe that there's nobody that should beat me, and that's the reason that the belt doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying that it's like I don't appreciate the opportunity, but what I'm trying to say is that I expect more out of myself. I expect a UFC world title. That title isn't my goal. That's like a side quest. My goal is UFC belt, UFC world champion. Uh, Once I'm there, then we can start the real journey. But right now, I'm just onward to one goal, and that's it. I used to always tell people, I'm wherever the money goes, wherever the money's at. But the money will come. I'm in a path to where I need to get to the UFC so I can truly start my career.
I think the LFA is a great step towards that. I think they're at Kansas City today, and there's a lot of LFA fighters that are on the card.
Yeah, there's
Um,
like 8 I've seen.
it's pretty crazy. Um, there's a lot of kind of high profile names when we went to the LFA fight in Louisville that were there. We get to meet a lot of the different people there. So, um, speaking of side quest, I like that term. What is your greatest accomplishment you feel in the cage, and then what is your greatest accomplishment out of the cage?
That is pretty hard question. Probably greatest accomplishment outside of the cage. I have to say that first. I feel like it's easier. Is either my son or like outside the cage, my son, because he's a good little kid and made out of my image and basically did everything. I brought him in the world. But also, I have a friend named Elijah Hill. He was very overweight, very depressed, and sad. But I was able to help him turn his life around with martial arts. I helped him with martial arts, and he got out of depression. He started smiling more, lost so much weight. Is a much happier person. He enjoys himself more, has more confidence. So that's probably my greatest. Those are my two greatest achievements outside of fighting. Inside of fighting, I have no idea, man. I feel like I haven't had it yet. I haven't had my greatest accomplishment yet.
Well, that's awesome. And I want to get out of here on a fun question. What music are you listening to, man? What's on your playlist for your training, your walkout music? Just what gets you in the mood for
Ooh,
fighting?
that's a good question. So, me and my friends always make a joke, like my close friends, that I listen to the same five artists, and only new music I listen to is their music. So, to be honest, I don't have that broad of a like. I know a lot of music, but I only listen to five people literally. But I do like, I guess, new music. I like anything Drake drops, anything NLE drops. There's a guy named Joyner Lucas. He's probably my favorite rapper of all time. But I don't know, man. That's actually a hard question. Uh, that's a tough question. I don't know. Whatever I walk out to really, to be honest, is like sometime throughout the camp, I'll hear a song and it resonates with the camp. I'm like, okay, this is what's popping. My last fight, I walked out to Jello Tweaker or something like that, and it's just something that like whatever I listen throughout the fight camp, I'll hear a song, I'll see a song, and it becomes like the theme. So sorry for the
Oh
complex answer, but
no, you're fine, man. That's awesome. Thanks you so much for coming on. I really appreciate having you out. And is there anything you'd like to say or anybody to shout out before you head out of here?
yeah, man, for sure. I'll shout out everybody. I'll shout out my team, Slow Road Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Harris Holt Martial Arts. I'll shout out Showtime Group and Dame Rodriguez, all my sponsors, Train 360, Symbolic Photography, Nevermore Galleries, Full Armor, and V's Cambo Kitchen. And then biggest sponsor of this camp is Project AMF. Kobe Bridges, he's been helping out a whole lot. So appreciate everybody. Appreciate you. Appreciate LFA for giving me this opportunity to be here. And I'm excited to fight LFA.
All right, brother. Well, I can't wait to meet you there. And thank you again for coming on. You have a great day. Everybody go out and get your tickets for LFA 210 and come support a great card and excellent fighters. And we'll see you next time.